Scully, I've made a pit stop at the Cornerstone Bank here in Spencer. Before we head up the road to Rock House State Park in West Brookfield, past the Copper Lantern Inn. Today at Annie's bookstore, I found this. This found me as I was getting The Wizard of Oz, going there to pick this up. That she said Patty had 5 copies, and this is like my book of destiny right here that we will be reading from cover to cover here on the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Together we will journey to the Emerald City. And we'll also read The Prince and the Pauper by Mark Twain. And this. I had never heard of this before. It was right there. I shit you not, Diane, Scully, Dana, Danny, Torrance. It was sitting right there in Annie's at 65 James Street in Worcester, Massachusetts, 01603. And it's Stardust and Snow. And I said, Patty, what? I said, well, I didn't know her name yet, but I said, what is that? What's that? What is that book? Because right away I see Stardust and I think Ziggy Stardust, right? And all of these synchronistic links that I've had, and this, I'm not going to talk about that too much with you right now. I'm not going to talk about Judy, Diane. I'm not going to talk about Judy at all. I'm going to start reading from this a little bit to you before I head into the bank to take care of a little of busyness. I already read the back on the previous video when I got all, if you want to see me get all verklempt. I don't know if I can rewatch that video ever. Maybe I will anyway, I got all verklempt, Diane, because, oh my god, look at I'm gonna get it, it's gonna happen again. Cooper, hold it together, look, Diane, first page, can you see that? Do you see what's right there above the words, Diane? This is about Dave. I read the back already to you, and I told what this book is in the previous video, if you want to hear that. I'm just going to read, starts on page 5, 6 to 8. I can read to page 8 real quick. I'm not real quick. I'm not going to speed read. I'm not going to rush or plow through this because, oh my god. Okay, I'm not going to get all verklempt again. Stardust and Snow. I am, actually. I can't help it. My friend told me a story he hadn't told anyone for years. When he used to tell it years ago, people would laugh and say, "Who'd believe that? How can that be true? That's daft." So he didn't tell it again for ages. But for some reason, last night, he knew it would be just the kind of story I would love. Again, this is Stardust and Snow, published in first edition, December 2019, by Obverse Books, Edinburgh, by Paul Magers. Oh, God, this is so emotional, Diane. When he was a kid, he said they didn't use the word autism, they just said shy, quote unquote. Or isn't quote unquote isn't very good at being around strangers or lots of people. But that's what he was and is, and he doesn't mind telling anyone. It's just a matter of fact with him. And sometimes it makes him sound a little and act different. but that's okay. Anyway, he was a kid. When he was a kid, it was the middle of the 1980s, and they were still saying quote unquote shy or quote unquote withdrawn rather than quote unquote autistic. I'm amazed I never heard of this, Diane. I'm amazed by all of this, Diane. He went to London with his mother to see a special screening of a new film he really loved. He must have won a competition or something, I think. Some of the details he can't quite remember, but he thinks it must have been London they went to. And the film, well, the film is one of my all-time favorites, too. It's a dark, mysterious fantasy movie. Every single frame is crammed with puppets and goblins. There are silly songs, and a goblin king, who wears clingy silver tights, and who kidnaps a baby, and this is what kickstarts the whole adventure. It was Labyrinth, of course. And the star was David Bowie, and he was there to meet the children who had come to see his special screening. I met David Bowie once, was the thing that my friend said that caught my attention. You did? When was this? I was amazed and surprised, too, at the casual way he brought this revelation out. Almost anyone else I know would have told the tale 1,000,000 times already. So I told Patty at the bookstore, Annie's, the woman at the counter, she said that she runs that particular Annie's. I guess there's more than one Annie's in Worcester or something. I said to her that a big part of my, my freak show, my YouTube show, my channel, what's been happening, what I've been going into is my connection to Bowie and this sense of like him being with me. Not a sense, but a knowing about it. And like him being a friend somehow. And Patty said that didn't surprise her because considering which David Bowie. And then it just hit me when I got to the car and started recording. And I looked at this and the whole thing, and in the store, Annie's, and when was this? I was amazed and surprised, too, at the casual way he brought this revelation out. Almost anyone else I know would have told the tale 1,000,000 times already. He seemed surprised I would want to know, and he told me the whole thing, all out of order, and I eked the details out of him. He told the story as if he'd been on an adventure back then, and he wasn't quite allowed to tell the story. Like there was a pact or a magic spell surrounding it, as if something profound and peculiar would occur if he broke the confidence. If he told me, maybe I could pass the story on, he said. But if he let me tell the story, could that possibly detract from the magic? Would it take away the power of the spell? Sharing might even make the spell better. It might spread that magic around the world. It's unbelievable. It was 30 years ago, and all of us kids who loved that film then, Labyrinth, and who still love it now, are all middle-aged. Saddest of all, the Goblin King is dead. Does the magic still exist, I wanted to know? So I asked him what happened on his adventure, and he told me about that Christmas when he sang his duet with David Bowie. I loved it and wanted all the details. How many other kids? Did they have puppets from the film there as well? What was David Bowie wearing? I imagined him in his lilac suit from Live Aid. Or maybe he was dressed as the Goblin King in lacy ruffles and cobwebs and glitter. What was the last thing he said to you when you had to say goodbye? He told me, David Bowie said, I'm always afraid as well, but this is how you can feel brave in this world. And then it was over. I've never forgotten it. And years later, I cried when I heard he had passed. My friend was surprised I was delighted by this tale. The normal reaction is, that's just a stupid story. Fancy believing in an invisible mask. But I do. I really believe in it, and it's the best story I've heard all year.